All righty, here we go.
Okay, go to the
Let's
live.
see.
That's what I got to take the
Come on. Who's already? Oh, yeah, that goes there.
The secret of success. In every chapter.
Okay,
All right.
here we go live.
Turn your mic on in case
Mine's on. Yeah, you throw these over here.
Contraption.
Yeah.
Listening device.
Okay. We're gonna start with an introduction. Talk about
Today's challenge.
what we're doing. What we're doing. Okay. All right. Ready? Okay. Good morning, ladies and
Good
gentlemen.
morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Let's see. Didn't shut down correctly. I'm sure hoping that our Facebook is correct. It said it didn't shut down correctly, but we're here and we are shut up and not shut down.
Bright and early here. Bright and early.
You are listening to the Mastermind Wisdom 30-Day Wisdom Challenge. It starts today. I will have continual broadcasts, live and podcasts for the next month. During this 30-day challenge, we will have special guests. These are special guests.
I feel special too.
You are special.
Very special.
To be a part of our broadcast, we'll be bringing in more folks, but we'll be doing this practically every day. They won't be here every day, but practically every day. We'll have something going on that's live that you can tape and follow. My name is Chrysophilis Jackson Sr. I am a Mastermind Wisdom coach. You are listening to the Mastermind Wisdom Table Talk, and it is our 30-day challenge that we will be having something to challenge you every day for the next 30 days. What we are hoping is that you will find something that we say and do that will make your life a little better. My co-host to my right is
Felicia Dortch.
Felicia. What is it that you do and what do you do it?
Oh, I do a little bit of everything. I'm actually a registered nurse, but I have a publishing company, so I publish books. I'm an author, and I have a marketing company as well as a wonderful staff member of Mastermind Wisdom Coaching.
Yes, you are. You are my executive vice president of Mastermind Wisdom Inc., which is a nonprofit 501c3, whatever those things are. Thank you. I knew I had one. And my co-host on the end.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Larry Richardson. I'm a financial counselor. I service the community, help people make money and help people save money. Also a Mastermind Wisdom coach. I've been on the program a few months now, and glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. What we're going to be talking about this morning for about an hour is our 30-day wisdom challenge. And we're all challenged by wisdom, I believe. The show is going to be based on, this 30 days is going to be based on the book, Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich.
Now, many of us have read the book before, but we've never read it with an emphasis on wisdom. And when we are talking about wisdom, if you think about it hard enough, all of the people that are talked about in this book had to do some thinking.
Absolutely.
You have to think about what you're going to do before you actually go out and do it. that takes some wisdom. There were many successes, but there was just as many, if not more, failures before folks got to where they wanted to be. From time to time, live on Facebook, I'll be playing some of the audio from Napoleon Hill on Think and Grow Rich. So I want to get that out of the way while we talk about some of the challenges that we've had. I'm not sure, let's see if I choose to do this.
The secret of success. In every chapter of this book, mention is made of the money-making secret that has made fortunes for the exceedingly wealthy men whom I have carefully analyzed over a long period of years. The secret was first brought to my attention by Andrew Carnegie. The canny, lovable old Scotsman carelessly tossed it into my mind when I was but a boy. Then he sat back in his chair with a merry twinkle in his eyes and watched carefully to see if I had brains enough to understand the full significance of what he'd said to me. When he saw that I had...
He said he wanted to know if we have brains enough to actually comprehend good things that people are saying. I think that's a challenge for some people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What do you think?
Definitely a challenge, because one of the biggest problems that some people have, or most people have, is they're formulating an answer before they even hear the question.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not given a chance to think of what that person is asking to be able to commute what they're trying to say.
Do you also think that people anticipate what they want to say while somebody else is talking, and they just got to get it out?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the first inclination of most human beings, is that I already know what you're saying, I already know where you are, and I already have the answer. And we don't always have the answer.
And why is the answer so much more important than hearing what the person has to say?
For the most part, people are wanting to make sure that they feel like they know what you know. A lot of folks have a problem with someone coming to them trying to bring knowledge to them, and then they feel inferior. So they want to hurry up and have an answer to make it look like they do understand even when they don't.
I heard you say feel inferior. Why is it that we would choose to feel inferiority? Any ideas?
I would think it would just so that you don't look like you don't know, and people need to understand that it's okay if you don't know. You know, that's why you get around people that do know, so you can learn.
Absolutely. Now, with our own challenges, what is it that we've had some challenges with? That's one question. But a bigger question is, for the next 30 days, what is it that we and our audience that sees this, what do you think some of their challenges might be?
Biggest challenge I see, and I'm going to take a lot of this from, and I think spiritually, it's learning to listen and not always have an answer, not always have to talk or speak. And I'll take it like, I look at it, I do a devotion in the morning, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Part of my biggest devotion is come from Proverbs 4 and 5, and it reads, "Get wisdom and get understanding." First of all, the get part means you have to search it out. It's not going to just come to you. Then it says, "Forget it not, neither decline from the words of thy mouth." Point. Getting the wisdom is one thing, but the understanding, meaning I have to hear it, digest it, process it, and then be able to give a return answer to it. But until I listen, none of that matters.
You said listen. Along with that listening, what is the other aspect of listening?
Share.
Sharing,
Understanding.
thinking.
Yep, thinking, for sure.
Because when we are listening, we should be thinking. We should be thinking about not only us as a listener, but thinking of the person as a speaker. The person that is speaking, because we want to hear what they have to say. We want to help them through that conversation, not so much as putting words in their mouth, but letting them get out what they are trying to get out so that we then can respond correctly. How many times have we had people speak to us and then whatever they've said, we interpret it the wrong way?
Quite often, more often than not.
Right. Daily basis.
And because we did not listen, we did not use agape listening to hear what that person had to say. In this 30-day challenge, we're asking folks to listen to Napoleon Hill's audio book and then read along with the book. This morning is our introduction to the program, and even if my cohorts here are not with me, I'll be on the air playing parts of the audio book as well as having discussions. I'll stop it from time to time and talk about some of the things that are in the book. But I'm going to ask you guys to turn to your contents of the book. The book is Think and Grow Rich, but we have changed the rich to wisdom. So every time you see the term rich, just try to place in it the word in its place, wisdom. Because all of these persons, all of these good people had to use some thinking to get where they wanted to be. We're going to get into the book more as the months go on, because I'm going to have a great deal of things that I'm going to be offering folks and giving to folks in different books and different aspects of using wisdom. But in chapter 1, it says here, truly thoughts are things, and powerful things at that, when they are mixed with definiteness of purpose, persistence, and a burning desire for their transformation into, it says here, riches, I'm saying wisdom, or other material objects. Tell me, how can we choose to obtain a material object without thinking about the object? Too many times we place so much emphasis, in my opinion, so much emphasis on riches that we never think about the wisdom part or the thinking part of how did we get to the riches. Every one of these folks that's mentioned in this book by Napoleon Hill and by the author on the audio book, it's being interpreted by a young man. He has comments as he goes along. In some books, they've just added a few little things to it, but it's the same stuff on the audio book. And what I've done is I've gone through this first chapter and highlighted points of emphasis that I think would be great. Now, and I didn't have you guys bring your own highlighter, so you have to use my pen.
I bought my own highlighter.
Oh, well, you go.
Being prepared means everything. Now, think and grow wisdom is the key.
So, tell me, guys, what do you think about thoughts of things?
Well, everything that you start with begins with a thought. When you want to start a business, you have to think about what type of business you want to have and what are the steps to get there to be, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? To make it manifest.
So is it just a business?
Decisions. Thinking about your money.
Yeah. But you also think about family, you think about situations in the world, you think about a lot of our rich thinking has been stamped out, tapped down, even torn down by some of the things that we've been through. And I think my biggest emphasis about Think and Grow Rich is the people that are in the book, they had some personal problems. They all had something personal that affected them in some way.
Right.
Whether it's mom, dad, family, friends, business.
Any type of experience or problem.
And what I think we tend to do is when we look at successful people, we tend to think that they don't have a personal life. It doesn't look like it.
No.
But thinking is hard. Wisdom is hard. Having that right set of thoughts come through.
Correct.
And the book talks about that, some of the things that some of these gentlemen went through. But I think it's important for us to attach the fact that they had to do a lot of thinking, both positive
Right.
and negative. So, the second paragraph here, he's talking about, the author is talking about, a little more than 30 years ago, Irwin C. Barnes discovered how true it is that men really do think. Here it says grow rich. I say
Grow wisdom.
how people really grow wisdom. Because you have to practice that just like you have to practice becoming rich. And one of the things I like about the book, because it is more than just about being rich. In physical terms, certainly at the end of this, I expect folks to be more enlightened, because as I've read through it again, it's enlightened me because I looked at it from a different perspective.
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh wow, we on Facebook.
Tune in.
Duh.
Chris Dolores Jackson. Tune in. And we will also be on YouTube right after this also. So
And
that's the man.
Want to say hello, Paul James joins us.
How you doing, Paul?
And Felicia joined us too.
Apparently. He's trying to connect it to my page, but we'll do that later. Okay.
So you guys can jump in any place, any time here. What this first chapter is talking about, and it's going to talk about it a lot throughout the entire book, is a burning desire.
Sure.
So my question again is, what types of things, events that are going on in our lives that we have a burning desire for, or it's causing us
to have it. But one of the things you mentioned earlier, and I like when you said that this is Think and Grow Rich, but Think and Grow Wisdom is not something that's tangible. It's an inner spirit. It's a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
It takes an effort to stop and think and process that thing. Well, I take it back again spiritually to the fruit of the spirit: joy, peace, love, happiness. Those are things that are also part of being wise, or the fruit of those that are trying to look for wisdom. And again, the most important thing, the thinking process, back to the scripture, says get wisdom, get understanding. It's not something that's going to just come to you by osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
It does take time, effort, and your talent to come down and sit down to a program such as this, to an instructor, to someone that will give you that mindset that you need to get that started. You know, mine is to me like an engine. It takes something to kick it off. And if you don't get ready to kick it off with something positive, it'll obviously go what? Negative. And that's what we're trying to avoid. And so when you wake up in the morning, one of the biggest things is devotion. You know, I just give attitude of gratitude. Mm-hmm. That starts out the process of a thinking. So that once I'm into this, you know, I can become rich, but I find out rich is not always skin, it's not always physical. There's a lot of other things around the part rich, but more importantly, with wisdom come knowledge and understanding.
I think that's a great point, because in this book, what the author, Napoleon Hill, was trying to point out was knowledge and understanding.
Exactly.
But if you weren't in the right frame of mind to get it, as many were, then they had some disappointments, some failures, some start over points. And with those of you out there, like those of us in here, we've had our challenges. I believe we have some challenges today.
Absolutely.
We wake up with challenges. Some people can't go to sleep because of the challenges they face in the future.
And we're going to talk about that too, because as I said to a great friend of mine, how does worrying solve a problem?
Absolutely.
Because you tell me, because we've had some conversations about solutions that we need to choose to find rather than just dwelling on the problem. And there's always an answer, as I always say to people, there's always a key to the door.
Right.
It may be locked.
Just gotta find it.
You gotta find that key, and if necessary, you find a skeleton key. And if that doesn't work, take it off the hinges.
That goes right back to the Think and Grow wisdom. If you take the time to grow in wisdom, that helps you along the way to make those decisions and to find those solutions in a better manner than worrying half the night or day.
Absolutely. Now,
Well, I was reading just a moment ago, worrying causes anxiety, it's potential problems that really don't exist. And we all go through those, and we all have them. No one is, there's a saying that there's no one can hang a sign that says no hurt here.
Right.
Everybody's going through something. It's how we handle it. And a program like today and the next 30 days is how to process that to get it from not becoming something that stagnates you so that we can move forward in our lives.
absolutely.
Yeah, right.
And again, we're going to be asking those of you that choose to do the 30-day challenge is to get the Napoleon Hill book as well as listening to the audio book and read along in your book as you're listening to the audio.
So, Chris, what are some of the places you think you can get this book? Because it's an old book. It's been around
It's
a
been a
long
while.
time.
You can get it at half-price books.
Excellent.
You can get it at some discount bookstores if they have them in. And I bought some at Barnes and Noble. And these were like $8.
Sometime online, I find out that you can get books, even Walmart does own books at very affordable prices, less than $4 or $5 sometimes. So
YouTube broadcasts this, or they do the audio book for free.
Oh yeah, that's
Right.
what
that's
I
what
have
it
this
is right there. Yeah.
And I think it's really important that we listen to the audio as we read through the book, and it helped me to do some highlighting because I could stop it and go back. So that meant that I didn't have to read. I could follow.
Right.
And then it helped me process a lot of things at the same time. So,
Well, one thing I want to mention, as they say in the old days, if you're my age, reading is fundamental.
Right.
So I like to read, and I was just sharing a moment ago. I had yesterday I was getting ready to go to a movie and had some downtime. When I looked at what time the movie started, I had the book with me. It gave me an opportunity and a great time to read. So in between our downtime and these little periods about waiting, and we anxious, and you may want to, nothing wrong with the phone, nothing wrong with technology, but good old reading gives a peace to the soul.
I was mentioning to a friend of mine.
You got a lot of friends.
I got a lot of friends.
Yeah. Without a name.
Without a name.
Yeah.
About spending some time in the morning,
Sure.
just a half an hour, thinking about maybe some of the things that happened yesterday and how we can make them better today. And what am I going to do today to make things better?
Right.
How am I going to handle those situations? Journaling is important. writing things down so that you have a place and process to understand what's important to you.
Correct.
As we go along the way, I'm going to introduce a little wheel. This is the wheel, and in that wheel there are 10 places where you can put in some of the things that you're going through or need to go through, or you're changing or you need to change. In this wheel, it is numbered from 1 to 10. So this could be finance, this could be relationship, this could be family, this could be the job, this could be my credit. It can be any number of the 10 most important things that need to get done. For me, I know procrastination is going on there. And maybe going to bed at a decent hour would be good.
You know.
Yeah, if you can, yeah.
You're gonna think and grow sleepy here
Yeah.
shortly.
Families and friends is a good suggestion.
Absolutely.
To put them into that circle. You know, I thought money and finances. You know, we worry a lot about that. You know, people are going through struggles right now in that area, and of course, what I like back to work, growth and learning. How do we grow and learn? Well, we spend time either in scripture or the journal, or you take time out of your busy schedule and you listen to programs like this.
I do believe that 15 to 20, maybe 30 minutes at the most, that's enough to just recycle through the things that need priority. Because in my opinion, the quicker you get to the point of taking care of those things, getting them done and out of the way, finding resources, and there are resources, but we have to, sometimes we have to be heard, sometimes we have to listen to ourselves, and then say to ourselves, you know, I'm pretty good at something. I'm better than this. So now I just need to find the right combination of circumstances and sometimes people to get me through a point so that I can get to the next point. And you just never know, you may help that person as well.
Correct.
Well, it goes back to what you said about reset, you know, and having that, getting up in the morning to kind of reset your day and think about what happened the day before, and maybe you're putting too much emphasis on one part of this circle. And then you can determine where you need to spread out the time or your mindset for that matter.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because the circle is based on you having to number from 1 to 10. 10 being that everything is graded 10. But a 1 means I really need some help. A 5 means it's a good priority, but as you put these things on the list and then you draw a line around the number that you have chosen, you can look at that circle and see, I need to spend more time. You know, if it's taking care of my credit or taking care of a particular thing, maybe either putting some people in my life or getting some people out. But it gives you, if you can put it on paper, you don't have to think about it for a while. You can come back to it.
Right.
Because I believe most of us worry about things that are stuck in our head rather than putting it down, putting it on paper so I can put my mind down. I can let it rest. So I can pick up the challenge in the morning.
Absolutely. What we always know is that there's so many things. We live in what we call happiness is based on the happening. You've said that on many occasions. When we have things only in our mind, the first happening that comes in, it's like a little bird that flies out the mind. So it's very hard to keep things prioritized and organized just in the mind. You know, some people are better than others at that, you know. But writing it down, putting it on paper, organizing it and revisiting it on a regular basis definitely keeps things in perspective, keep things in order.
Okay, great, great. Now you guys can jump in and read anytime you want. So
You're doing so well, though.
yeah, I is. We're still going back to chapter 1 of Think and Grow Rich.
Right.
Think and Grow Wisdom.
Well, Chris, take a moment or two and let's listen a little bit more to the tape. And let's hear what he has to say, and let's expound on some of the information that's.
Grasp the idea.
Okay.
He asked if I would be willing to spend 20 years or more preparing myself to take it to the world, to men and women who, without the secret, might go through life as failures. I said I would, and with Mr. Carnegie's cooperation, I have kept my promise. Editor's comments. In 1908, during a particularly down time in the U.S. economy and with no money and no work, Napoleon Hill took a job as a writer for Bob Taylor's magazine. He was hired to write success stories about famous men. Although it would not provide much in the way of income, it offered Hill the opportunity to meet and profile the giants of industry and business, the first of whom was the creator of America's steel industry, multimillionaire Andrew Carnegie, who was to become Hill's mentor. Carnegie was so impressed by Hill's perceptive mind that following their 3-hour interview, he invited Hill to spend the weekend at his estate so they could continue the discussion. During the course of the next 2 days, Carnegie told Hill that he believed any person could achieve greatness if they understood the philosophy of success and the steps required to achieve it. It's a shame, he said, that each new generation must find the way to success by trial and error when the principles are really clear-cut. Carnegie went on to explain his theory that his knowledge could be gained by interviewing those who had achieved greatness, and then compiling the information and research into a comprehensive set of principles. He believed that it would take at least 20 years, and that the result would be the world's first philosophy of individual achievement.
I heard you go, What in this little section of the audiobook stuck out. Yeah, that
Very, very important aspect, and I do it in my life also. For us to think and grow wisdom, we have to find people to be mentors or be mentored by. And just like in the book, and just like now, we have to find people in our lives that we respect, that has that wisdom that we desire, and then be mentored by them. Someone in your life, a lot of time we find out that we don't have a direction because we don't have anyone to give us that direction, you know. And how do we know what road? Well, it's like, to me, like the navigation system. It tells us when to take rights and when to take lefts. And a person has to have that same someone in their lives to have that same results to get out. And just like with Napoleon Hill, by happenstance, he was able to be assigned to go find and talk about and find people and write about them. Back to my scripture, it says, get wisdom, get understanding. They're not just going to come to you. You have to search hard and right. And the first person you get with, you may not be. You may find out they have some faults and some issues, but there's something good that you can learn about everything and everybody. But we have to have mentors in our lives, period, to have a direction by which we go. And everybody had one, whether you knew it or not. Someone influenced you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But now you think and grow wisdom, you're consciously making that a point, and you're writing down the things they say and they do, that those advice is going to lead you the right way.
You remember before GPS, we used to have paper maps.
Oh,
It was called MapQuest. We're that age, we remember them.
MapQuest.
And man, here's the thing I learned about MapQuest. If you don't have the comprehension knowledge of that, you will get lost every single time. But once you got comfortable with it and you knew what it is, I could go to county roads and find a person's house off the MapQuest.
Do you remember when we had those paper maps and we would look at them and get to where we wanted to go? we didn't have to look at the map to get back where we were.
Right.
Because we would choose to remember little signs, that Coca-Cola can at the side of the road.
Sure.
That tree.
That
Sure.
store.
There was some cows out there.
Right.
Now, here we go. Where the old schoolhouse used to be.
Right.
You go down to where the old schoolhouse used to be and you take the right. Yeah. That
And
blank.
one of the things you said about wisdom, when now that we have GPS,
Yes.
and if it's not updated, then we will go the wrong
The
way.
long way.
But at some point, wisdom has to kick in and say, if my GPS isn't working, then I need to pull over and find somebody that can direct me, which is what mentors do.
Right.
That's the reason to have coaches like you guys now, because you're now certified coaches, to not only help give other people information and direction, but to choose to use it ourselves.
Absolutely.
I believe that most of us are too talented, me included, to be struggling in a particular mindset when we're just brilliant people.
That just goes right back to having a mentor and trusting that person
Absolutely.
that you're working with. I mean,
Absolutely.
you have all of these ideas in your head and all of these different directions to
Correct.
get to this one destination, but you're not sure. With the trial and error, either you're going to go this way and it doesn't work, so you got to turn around and go this way. And where we're failing is we're not asking for help. We're not saying, hey, I don't know how to get to this destination. Can you help me?
Right.
So there's a trust factor in there as well.
Right.
So, if I bring this idea to you that I'm trying to get to this destination, are you going to steal my idea? Or are you going to guide me to my idea?
Right.
So those are some of the problems that I notice as well, even with myself. You have to surround yourself with people that you can trust, that you know are trying to get you to that destination just as well as you're trying to get there.
So my question, how do you determine who to trust?
I take mine back to spiritual. When people are enter into my life, I pray and I ask God, what is their purpose? What is their purpose in my life? What are they here to show me? And sometimes they're showing you this is what you don't want.
Exactly.
So when you realize that's what you don't want, and I journal a lot, I actually write those things down. This is the experience that I had from this person. This is what I don't want.
Correct.
So then when I meet someone else, and when you develop a relationship with God, He tends to put those people in your path.
Absolutely.
And the way I met Chris was through a classmate that I had in kindergarten. And I connected with him because I finally got up to date and got on Facebook.
Okay.
Me too.
And I, started talking to him, and we're from another small town. And
Right.
then I was telling him, I felt the comfort with him to be able to tell him,
Sure.
this is what I'm trying to
Sure.
do.
Sure.
And then he go, I know someone you need to meet.
Right.
And it went from there. And that's the same with me. When people come to me and I'm mentoring them, that I want to do this. Oh, I know someone that can do that.
Connect you to them.
And we do the connection.
Well, I think that's where the Think and Grow Wisdom focuses, and hopefully that's what we're going to, because what we're trying to do is going from good, wherever you are now, to better. And in that good to better, being spiritual makes a big difference, because there's a Holy Spirit that indwells in us that gives us that comfort or that confirmation for people we meet. And guess what? That spirit always also tells you who you don't. When you can get around people, and I got a bad spirit about that person, and you have to trust that spirit. But you trust it with what, first and foremost, thinking and processing that thinking process back to this wheel by analyzing and narrowing it down to the best people or the best solutions that you have. We all know people. We all have our own circle of influences, and it's just a matter of sitting down and analyzing that and finding that one or two persons that you feel comfortable with, that you have a good connection with, that you have a good spiritual connection, and then just asking and sitting down and, hey, let me take you to lunch. I like to pick your brain And there's no one that's called me at any given time that I'm not able to sit down and go do a lunch and just have a little conversation and just see where they're heading. If I give them a little bit of advice, then that's fine. If they want more, we develop that relationship to help them and guide them in the right direction.
You said something about giving folks advice. Now, many years ago, I realized if you offered advice without an invitation, then you set yourself up to be blamed if that advice didn't work.
Repeat that again so that our audience can understand what you just said there.
If you choose to give